Sigma males are sharp. They see what others miss. They pick up on small signs in people's behavior, things most people ignore or overlook. They can sense when something's off. This makes them very aware of red flags in relationships, friendships, or even work settings. But here's the twist. They don't always react right away. Unlike others who might cut someone off instantly, Sigma males often pause. They take a step back. They try to understand why someone acted the way they did. They don't like drama. They don't like jumping to conclusions. So even when they sense something wrong, they sometimes let it slide. Not because they're weak, but because they believe people can change. They believe in giving people a chance. They believe that not every red flag means someone is dangerous. Sometimes it just means the person is struggling or still learning. Sigma males know that everyone has flaws, including themselves. That's why they try to show patience, even when they're clearly being tested. But their forgiveness isn't blind. They don't forget what they saw. They remember everything. They keep it stored in the back of their mind. And while they may forgive, they watch closely to see if the behavior changes or continues. If it continues, they'll walk away quietly. No fight. No warning. Just distance. This way of dealing with red flags is what makes Sigma males different. They sense trouble early, but they choose how and when to respond. Sometimes they give people a chance to grow. Other times they forgive once and then disappear for good. In this video, we'll go through 6 red flags Sigma males always pick up on, but often choose to forgive. These aren't small things. These are signs that would raise alarms for most people. And yet, Sigma males look deeper before deciding what to do. If you've ever wondered why a Sigma male stayed in a relationship or connection that seemed off, this will give you answers. They see the red flags. They feel them, but they don't always react right away. Let's break down the first red flag they always notice, but sometimes forgive. Red flag 1. Emotional unavailability. Sigma males are highly aware of emotional energy. They notice how people express or avoid expressing what they feel. They can tell when someone is holding back, shutting down, or hiding behind a wall. Emotional unavailability is something they sense almost immediately, even if the person tries to cover it up. This red flag shows up in small ways. The person never talks about their feelings. They change the subject when things get serious. They seem distant even in close moments. They don't open up, and they don't ask questions that go deeper. Sigma males don't miss these signs. Despite picking up on this right away, Sigma males often forgive it. Why? Because they understand that emotional unavailability isn't always about rejection. Sometimes it's about fear, trauma, past heartbreak. Some people protect themselves by closing off emotionally, and Sigma males recognize that. They don't expect everyone to be emotionally perfect. They know that some people take longer to open up. They don't pressure or push. Instead, they give space and time. They observe. They see if the person is slowly trying or just stuck in their walls. A Sigma male might even feel a sense of challenge in this situation. Not in a controlling way, but in a curious one. They want to see if this person can grow. Can they learn to open up? Can they let their guard down even just a little? If they see effort, they often stick around longer. They also believe in emotional control. So they relate to someone who isn't quick to spill everything. But there's a difference between being private and being closed. Sigma males notice that line, and they watch how the person moves on either side of it. Still, this red flag carries weight. If the person never changes, if they stay shut down and cold, Sigma males will eventually pull away. They won't argue. They won't demand change. They'll just stop reaching out. Quietly. Completely. Until that point, they often give more chances than people realize. Because deep down, they're hoping that the emotional wall isn't permanent. They're hoping it's just fear, not rejection. And they want to see if the person is willing to grow. It's also important to note that Sigma males value peace. They don't like emotional games, shouting, or dramatic scenes. If emotional unavailability means fewer ups and downs, they might tolerate it for a while. But if it starts to feel cold or empty, they'll feel it deeply, and they'll start backing off. This red flag is easy for them to sense, but harder for them to act on right away, because part of them understands. And that understanding often leads to forgiveness, at least once. They forgive it because they know life is hard. People carry pain. People build walls. And not everyone knows how to be emotionally present. But if the wall stays up for too long, the Sigma male won't wait forever. They might not speak about it. They might not confront it. But one day they'll simply vanish, peacefully, quietly, and permanently. That's why emotional unavailability is the first red flag Sigma males always notice, but sometimes choose to forgive. Red flag 2, inconsistency in communication. Sigma males value clear, steady, and honest communication. They don't need to be in contact all day, every day, but they do expect some kind of consistency. When someone reaches out, disappears, shows interest, then pulls back, it raises a red flag. And Sigma males see it right away. They notice the shift in tone, the missed calls, the slow replies, the vague messages, the sudden drop in connection without explanation. They don't need a pattern to be obvious, just a few broken signals and they already know something's off. But here's where they differ from others. Even though they sense the inconsistency, they often forgive it. Why? Because they give people the benefit of the doubt. They know life gets busy. They know some people struggle with focus, stress, or emotional swings. So instead of reacting with anger, they wait and watch. They think things through. Maybe they're overwhelmed. Maybe they didn't know how to respond. Maybe something personal is going on. That kind of thinking keeps them from cutting people off too quickly. They also understand that not everyone communicates like they do. Sigma males are direct. They say what they mean. But they know others can be more emotional, scattered, or unsure. They try to make room for that. However, they don't like patterns that don't change. If the inconsistency continues, with no effort, no explanation, and no care, they start to disconnect. They don't need drama. They just step back. One reason they forgive early on is because they're not needy. They don't crave attention or constant messages. So a missed reply isn't a big deal. But when the pattern starts to feel disrespectful or careless, that's when things shift. They also hate being played with. If they sense someone is texting just to keep them around, but not really interested, they'll forgive once, maybe twice. After that, they'll vanish without saying a word. At the same time, they avoid chasing people. If someone's communication becomes lazy or fake, they don't argue or ask for more. They pull their energy away quietly and move on. But while they stay, they try to understand. They ask themselves, is this person going through something? Are they confused? Do they just not know how to talk? That patience often leads to forgiveness, at least early on. Over time, though, the Sigma male will draw a clear line. If someone can't talk like an adult, can't show respect through words or actions, and keeps breaking the line of trust, then the connection fades out. They won't explain why they're gone. They won't send a final message. They'll simply stop responding, and they'll mean it. That's the second red flag Sigma males always pick up on. Inconsistent communication. They see it. They feel it, and at first they forgive it, but not forever. Red flag 3, lack of support for independence. Independence is everything to a Sigma male. It's not just a preference, it's part of who he is. He builds his life around freedom, control over his time, and the ability to think and act without being held back. So when someone doesn't support that independence, he notices it immediately. It might not show up in obvious ways. It could be small comments like, "Why don't you spend more time with me?" Or, "Why do you always want to be alone?" It might be guilt trips or passive-aggressive jokes. These are all signs that the person doesn't fully accept how the Sigma male lives. He senses this resistance quickly. He picks up on the tone, the pattern, the emotional pressure. Still, at first, he doesn't fight back. He doesn't start an argument. Instead, he forgives it, because he knows that his level of independence is not normal for most people. He understands that people want closeness. They want connection. They want time together, and he's not against that. But when it feels like someone is trying to pull him away from his core values, he notices, and he watches. The reason he forgives it early on is simple. He thinks maybe the person just doesn't understand him yet. Maybe they're not trying to control him. Maybe they're just feeling insecure and they need time to adjust. He also gives people space to figure it out. If someone is new to him, they might not realize how serious he is about needing time alone, thinking things through, or working on personal goals. So instead of reacting harshly, he waits. He explains his boundaries once, maybe twice, and then steps back to see if those limits are respected. But when someone keeps pushing, keeps questioning, or keeps asking him to change, it becomes clear. The person doesn't just want closeness, they want control. And that's where the line is drawn. Still, Sigma males don't rush to end things. They stay calm. They observe. They try to find a middle ground. They hope the person will see that supporting independence doesn't mean losing the relationship. It means building it on trust and freedom. If the other person can't accept that, the Sigma male begins to pull back. Slowly, quietly. He doesn't fight. He doesn't argue. He just starts creating distance. And when someone constantly interrupts his plans, demands attention, or gets upset every time he's not available, it becomes too much. He forgives a few times, hoping it's just a phase. But if it becomes a pattern, he stops making excuses. This red flag isn't just about needing space, it's about being respected. Sigma males don't want to feel owned. They don't want to be checked on like a child. They want a connection that gives them air, not one that makes them feel trapped. When a person supports that need for independence, they get the best version of him. Loyal, focused, caring. But when they don't, things fall apart. He forgives this red flag early because he knows it comes from misunderstanding. But if it turns into control, guilt, or constant emotional pressure, he leaves. That's the third red flag Sigma males always sense, but often forgive, when someone doesn't truly support their independence. Red flag 4. Superficial behavior. Sigma males can spot fake behavior from a mile away. They're not impressed by big talk, name-dropping, or trying too hard to fit in. When someone is acting in a way that feels shallow, staged, or inauthentic, they sense it quickly. It might be a person always bragging about what they own. It might be someone constantly chasing likes on social media. It might be a friend who changes their personality depending on who's in the room. All of these signs point to one thing: superficial behavior. And Sigma males notice it instantly. They may not say anything, but inside they're already measuring what's real and what's not. Here's the twist. They often forgive this behavior at first. Not because they like it, but because they understand where it might come from. Insecurity, fear of rejection, pressure from society. Many people act fake because they think it's what they have to do to be accepted. Sigma males get that. They don't like it, but they try to be patient with it, especially if they see potential beneath the surface. They'll forgive the flashy talk or fake confidence for a while if they believe the real person underneath is worth knowing. They also know that some people are still figuring themselves out. Not everyone is comfortable being real right away. Some wear masks to protect themselves. Sigma males try to give them time to take that mask off, but this red flag can't be ignored forever. The more a person keeps acting fake, the more distance the Sigma male starts to create. They don't do it in a big, dramatic way. They just become less available, less engaged, less interested. They also lose respect. If someone keeps changing to please others, or if their words never match their actions, the Sigma male starts pulling away inside, long before he physically leaves. Sigma males value honesty, even when it's uncomfortable. They'd rather hear the truth than hear something polished to sound good. And when someone keeps hiding behind image, they can't connect. They forgive it early because they know the world teaches people to act this way. But if it keeps going, they can't stay. They need real people around them, not actors. They also hate when people use fake charm to get what they want. Flattery, smooth talk, pretending to care. Sigma males can sense when it's not sincere. And while they won't always call it out, they'll file it away in their mind. If that same person keeps showing signs of shallow thinking, lack of depth, or surface-level interests, the Sigma male checks out. He might stay polite, but he's no longer truly involved. They want real conversations, real struggles, and real growth. They don't need perfection, they need honesty. That's why superficial behavior is the fourth red flag Sigma males always notice. And while they might forgive it once or twice, if the mask never comes off, they'll disappear without warning. Red flag 5. Disrespect for boundaries. Boundaries are serious to a Sigma male. They protect his time, his space, his peace, and his mind. When someone pushes or crosses those boundaries, even just a little, he notices, and it immediately registers as a red flag. This might come in the form of too many texts, uninvited visits, pressuring him to talk when he's clearly not in the mood, trying to force emotional responses, ignoring his need for space. Even small things like asking too many questions or interrupting his routines don't go unnoticed. He doesn't make a big deal out of it at first. Instead, he watches. He tries to figure out if it was a mistake or a pattern. He gives people the benefit of the doubt because he knows not everyone is used to strong boundaries. Sigma males aren't cold, they're structured, and they know their needs. They aren't trying to control others, they're trying to protect themselves. But when someone doesn't get that, it causes tension. Still, they forgive boundary slips early on. Why? Because most people don't live this way. They're used to blending into others' lives, answering every call, and always being available. Sigma males are different, and they know it. So they forgive it once, maybe even twice. They'll have a calm talk, explain what works for them, and hope the person understands. But if the boundary keeps getting pushed, or worse, ignored, that's when the forgiveness ends. They don't shout. They don't give warnings. They just start pulling back, slowly, quietly, permanently. Disrespecting boundaries isn't just annoying to a Sigma male, it's threatening. It means someone isn't listening. It means they don't respect him on a deep level. Even in close relationships, he expects space. He doesn't want someone checking in every hour or needing constant emotional feedback. He wants trust, not control. When someone keeps crossing that line, it drains him. He starts to feel boxed in. And for someone who values freedom, that's the beginning of the end. The more the person pushes, the more distant he becomes. And by the time they realize he's gone, it's too late. That's why boundary crossing is a red flag he always senses. He may forgive it early, but he never forgets. And if it keeps happening, he walks away for good. Red flag 6. Manipulative tendencies. Sigma males are not easily fooled. They notice when someone is trying to control, influence, or twist a situation to their advantage. They spot manipulation fast, even if it's done in subtle ways. And once they see it, they remember it. Manipulation doesn't always come with yelling or control. It often hides in small actions, guilt trips, half-truths, passive-aggressive comments, playing the victim, using compliments to get favors, saying one thing and doing another. All of these are signs, and Sigma males don't miss them. They watch, they listen, they connect the dots, and soon enough, they know exactly what's happening. But here's what makes them different. Even though they see the manipulation, they don't always react right away. In fact, they often forgive it, at least once. Why? Because they believe not everyone is aware of what they're doing. Some people manipulate out of fear. Some do it out of habit. Some were raised that way and never learned better. Sigma males understand this, and because of that understanding, they give space for a while. They think deeply about the person's actions. Is this behavior coming from pain? Are they doing it on purpose? Can they change if I set a boundary? These questions guide their decisions. They also test the response. A Sigma male might set a small boundary to see what happens. If the person respects it, that's a good sign. If they try harder to push or twist things, that's when the forgiveness fades. The key here is self-awareness. Sigma males can see manipulation, but they don't respond with emotion. They stay calm. They stay clear. They might even let the person believe their trick worked, just to see what happens next. But if the behavior repeats, the Sigma male begins to back away, slowly, without conflict. He doesn't need to argue or expose the manipulator. He just leaves, mentally and emotionally first, and then fully. The only reason he forgives it early is because he believes people can grow. He knows everyone has flaws. But when manipulation becomes a pattern, not a mistake, he won't stay. They also hate emotional traps. Like when someone acts hurt just to gain control, or twists a story to make the Sigma male feel guilty. These games don't work on him, but they do drain his energy. He doesn't play. He doesn't explain. He just walks. Manipulation is one of the deepest red flags, and even though Sigma males sense it from the start, they forgive it once or twice out of understanding. But after that, they're done. They don't yell. They don't seek revenge. They just disappear. And that silence speaks louder than any fight ever could. That's the sixth red flag Sigma males always sense, but often choose to forgive in the beginning. Sigma males are not blind. They see every red flag. They hear what's not said. They notice what others ignore. Their minds are sharp and their instincts are strong. But what makes them different is how they handle it. They don't overreact. They don't explode. They don't shame people for making mistakes. Instead, they pause. They watch. And often, they forgive. They forgive because they know people are human. They know pain makes people act out. They understand that not everyone was taught how to be real, honest, or strong. That's why they give people a chance to grow. But that forgiveness has limits. Sigma males do not tolerate repeated disrespect. They do not allow patterns that drain their peace. If a red flag shows up once, they take note. If it shows up twice, they remember. If it keeps happening, they leave, quietly, calmly, without making a scene. They value peace more than proving a point, and they value truth more than forcing fake connections. These 6 red flags are the ones they sense most often. Emotional walls, broken communication, pressure against independence, shallow behavior, disrespect for boundaries, and manipulative games. Each one hits hard, but each one is first met with understanding, until the line is crossed. Then the Sigma male moves on, and when he does, he never looks back. That's how they handle red flags. Not with rage, but with reason. Not with noise, but with silence. And always on their own terms.